Hello, everyone, and we are live. I mean, we are online and live and online. So this is ETC, etc., or Engineering Team Lead Meetup or community or European Team Lead community, but we are online, so it's kind of complicated thing. But we would talk about management, about leading, about community, and other stuff. And three main phrases of the past year. Can you hear me? Colleagues, can you hear me? Am I muted? And the last one, geez, I hate online. And I would help you with the last one, and you please help me with the first two. First of all, please let me know, can you hear me? Post something in the chat like plus, minus, some emoji or whatever, any words that you have that we are. So can you hear us? And because we have some delay, of course, it's online. I would talk about online. I would say that online these days, yeah, thanks. I see that you can hear me. And online these days is not the same as offline. Everyone knows that. And even though online is not the same as offline, I would give you one advice: how to get the max out of it. Ask your questions, or not the questions. You can just post your opinions, or say something, because otherwise it's just imagine you going out to the out on the date with someone, and you're just sitting in front of each other and just looking in the camera, and that's it. Probably it's not the best thing to do, and we would like to have conversation here. So if you have any questions to speakers, to experts, or they want to ask you something, let's talk, because otherwise you will not get much out of it. And today we're going to talk about one big topic. As a managers, we always think that we know everything, and it's not true. And other managers, they always think that they know everything, and that's not true either. So let's talk about hidden things that we probably do unintentionally, or sometimes intentionally, and maybe we even don't aware of. And let me introduce. Where is my drum roll? Ah, I have only guitars. Let me introduce our experts, speakers, just people who would talk about various stuff in management. Let's start from Hadi Hariri, Vice President of Developer Advocacy at JetBrains. Hi, Hadi.
Hey, hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Nice. Our next speaker is Denis Repp, is engineering manager at Wrike. Hi, Denis.
Hi, Evgeny. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, probably I would not answer this five times, but yeah, with every new speaker, I am better and better and better. Yeah. Our next expert is Sadhana Gopal, software development manager at Shopify. Hi, Sadhana.
Hi, how are you? Sorry, I did it again.
Better, better. And our last but not least, Vitaly Sharovatov, DevRel and consultant at Qase. Hi, Vitaly.
Hello there. Hey guys. Hey girls.
So probably we're all good today, and yeah, we're even better because we're all together. So let's talk a little bit about anti-patterns. Frankly speaking, we have several several stories around that, but probably just a quick question to you, like first small question: what do you think? What was the most kind of like destructive, or maybe funniest one, anti-pattern you discovered when you just started being a manager? I remember when I was just started being a manager, I was writing a lot of documents. Like every day I was posting 5, 6, 7 docs to docs, not dogs, to chats. So I was loving documents. I was just posting and posting and posting. And Vitaly, what was your biggest anti-pattern?
Yeah, for me, it was really hard to switch from the perspective of individual result to a perspective of enabling the team to achieve some good results together. That was the main thing for me, because I was quite a good developer, I would say. And then I was really performant. I was really like seriously good developer. And then for me to switch to a mode of or pattern of working where I'm not doing anything on my own, but I'm rather enabling others to achieve a lot, that was hard.
Nice. And Sadhana, what was your biggest, I would not say mistake, but kind of like, this thing?
I think I would call it a misconception. But my biggest one was that I felt that suddenly I needed to have all the answers, and I was failing my team if I didn't have the answers somehow, instead of just collaborating and trying to figure out. I was constantly working day and night trying to just find the answers, and
Like this computer from the Hitchhiker Guide to the Galaxy. I forgot how it's in English. Yeah, like this computer who was answering all the questions. And Denis, what was your biggest misconception, I would say?
I suddenly discovered that there is only 24 hours during the day, and the tasks they're not finishing, and I'm not the only person who can solve it. In order to achieve team-wide results, I definitely need to shift my mindset and to build a team to achieve the results rather than do it myself. I'm not a rock star; I can do everything.
Yeah, it's like like I'm a manager and I'm a pinpoint for this team, right?
Right.
Something like this. And like Hadi, what was your biggest kind of misconception?
Oh, biggest misconception or biggest error? I think that I had a lot, but I think that probably my biggest error could be summed up in that I was an asshole. To put it bluntly, my manager, my first real manager, was the same, and he influenced me in a very, very bad way. To not, everything that he was doing to us, I kind of picked up and started to do when I was put in charge, and it took me a while to realize just how horrible I'd become.
Well,
this was many years ago, many years ago.
May I add here a bit here? I would just second what Hadi is saying. I see how role model like influences everyone so much. So we as managers must be the role models. It's, for example, with working overtime. If a manager works overtime, their employees will, I think, if they're good, they will try to mimic the manager behavior and work hard as well, which is not productive.
Mm-hmm. And I think that guys, I mean, people in the chat, what would be awesome if you can, during this like conversation, you can post your stories in chat. We would highlight them, and probably we can discuss it. So it's not only for people sharing the stories, but everyone sharing the stories. But I think the biggest problem with management is that if we're talking about programming, I don't know, Java, Kotlin, whatever, everything is there. We know exactly how to write the code. I'm not talking JavaScript, of course. No one knows how to write code in JavaScript, but more like mature ecosystems, you know how to write. Okay, Vitaly. But management is kind of like a snowflake. Everything is different, and we're trying to solve problems over and over and over again. And because this area is such complicated and such diverse, probably let's, for this this episode, I would say, let's talk about 3 or maybe 2, I don't know, we don't have much time, about stories. And actually we prepare some stories. By the way, one important thing, if you have your cases or your stories, or you think that next episode we should talk about this exact topic, just visit this https://bit.ly/etc cases and submit your stories anonymously, or you can say your name, and we will talk about that in the next episodes. So let's start from the first story, and it's called Problem Solver. Hello, community. Hi. My name is Qase, and here's the story. Some time ago, my team released one task that completely crushed our production environment. It was disaster. Although the clients hardly noticed anything, we reverted the code pretty quickly. My boss and other managers were very unhappy. I organized a retrospective. We went through a 5 whys process and implemented a lot of safety measurements. From now on, we have 2 rounds of interview. Each task also has to be checked by manual QA, covered by tests, and also has to be approved by team's tech lead. Wow, just a lot. But all this machinery has drastically reduced our speed. Yes, we haven't released a single major bug to our production since then, but frankly speaking, we didn't publish many major features too. And now I'm thinking maybe we shouldn't do all this stuff at all. Wow, kind of sad story. And we can have some thoughts about it. And I see, Vitaly, that you, as always, have a lot of thoughts. Okay, Vitaly, probably we can start from you.
Thank you. That's, I would say, a usual thing for the managers who are not really well experienced. When they see statistically rare issue, they're trying to resolve it in a way that complicates the system even more. So adding all those checks should be rationalized properly. So we should understand how many issues we are resolving with adding such a check, which increases the time to market. So before doing that, before adding any complication or adding another chain in a link in the chain to deliver stuff to production, we must ensure that we're doing what's statistically correct, not statistically correct, but which resolves problems that arise a lot. And so that's a usual thing that managers fear that other managers will actually hurt them somehow, or maybe ask them why this thing happened. Please, Sadhana, sorry.
So I'm thinking there are 2 reasons that somebody would do this. One is indeed to sort of, so when you're just a fresh out of development mode manager, then you have to be a problem solver. So you have to actually solve it either with code or with process. That's one thing. And second thing is, I think there's also an element of compulsion to be seen as doing something. Rather than being wise enough to say, it's a one-off thing, and if it happens again, then we will revisit it. So this is what comes to mind.
Yeah, Denis, what do you think about that? Yeah.
Right. So I basically would add what Sadhana said. So basically, what is required here is critical thinking. Because fixing a problem, okay, you fix that, but is it worth fixing at all? Because if contemporary distributed systems can be rolled back in seconds, and no one will be hurt if you can just roll back it. But if you corrupt the data, it's a biggest problem, right? So it was trying to invest in things that may damage your reputation, your service, your clients, rather than just outage of service. It can be easy to fix nowadays.
Yeah, but this case kind of it affects one thing, is that we all agree that you should think rationally, and we're managers, we're kind of cold machines solving the cases. But still, just imagine like critical think. Previously, when you was a developer, probably it was a critical stuff for you, and now your boss and other managers, you are not really sure that you're doing everything right. You have this urgency, you have this feeling that you should rushing, everything is on fire, and you're sitting there with the cup like everything is fine. So how to deal with that? Because probably as a manager with 10 plus years of experience, you have this thick skin, and you can say, I don't care, let's think rationally. But how to solve this? Sadhana.
I would take a step back and probably apply a systems approach to this, right? So what parts of the system do we want to make invulnerable? I think probably that's a good question to start with, right? And really focus our efforts on that. It's very similar to Google's error budget. Maybe 1% error is allowed, and maybe there are some systems which are really critical, and you enforce those processes on those systems rather than doing like a whitewash processes which are like, which are going to be super heavy on your overall feature development, which probably some of those features, it doesn't even matter if it's broken for a period of time. Right. So I would really break it down in that fashion and sort of classify it in those areas and then build those processes around that.
Mm-hmm. And Hadi, how do you solve this problem? Because probably JetBrains has a lot of experience with kind of these cases, because your clients base is super huge. Like, did you have this thing when, for example, you released something and I don't know, you broke something really important, and you like, oh, we need to revert everything? No, sorry, you're muted.
I was saying no, us never. We never break anything. Yes, we have. Again, it depends on the product. I think that normally what we do is just try and fix it and release the next thing as soon as possible, right? Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's very difficult, sometimes we do it as part of early access program, which is basically our nightly builds of everything. But we do try and avoid these situations where things radically break things. We try and put enough checks in place. However, having said that, things always break. I mean, just recently, the old famous, why is everything re-indexing all the time in IntelliJ IDEA, right? Which was ironically us trying to reduce re-indexing. And it turns out that there was one edge case which was a little bit too common, and it was hitting that all the time. Yeah. And we could go back. I mean, I second what Vitaly said and Sadhana and folks, because we sometimes try and focus too much on preventing the same situation from happening when that situation may not happen, once in a blue moon. But then I also question.
Oh, you're gone. I can't hear you.
Yeah, Hadi, for some reason you are muted back again.
Your headset, possibly.
Yeah, headset.
We just lost your voice.
Yeah, it's it's Mac. It's MacBook's Bluetooth. Can you hear me again now?
Yeah.
Sorry, my MacBook likes to lose its Bluetooth once in a while. Yeah, I was just saying that in addition to putting the checks in place, I do wonder how many times we go back and run a retrospective of all the work that we did to see if it actually helped in any way. Mm-hmm. I don't think we do that often enough. We just kind of put a check in place and say, well, okay, this won't happen again. Do we go back and examine the process and see, did it actually prevent anything?
Vitaly, I see your hand. Let me just show the comment from YouTube. That's Radeyu, sorry. That story misses some context. If there were no guard rates at all in the project at all, then these corrective actions were correct. Maybe the team just went a little bit overboard. So when is the, probably here we have some, for example, next one, having test for the code that you add seems reasonable to me. Having every code be approved by tech lead seems overboard. Vitaly?
May I add something here?
Yeah.
I think that this is somewhat related to SLA. So we have SLA in our mind for our software, for our business model, for our context. So if our software is mission critical, life critical, let's say it's a medical equipment, we can't afford the software to fail. So we will reduce our time to market. We will reduce whatever we want. We will add more and more checks if it's needed. So I think there is no silver bullet here to say tests are overboard or underboard. I'm not sure about that. I would think that having something just added might be a local optimization, which we know seems to be incorrect in most cases. So we need to rationally think, as Sadhana said, rationally think what to add and where and how.
Okay, Vitaly, but okay, just imagine you are making a note for the next team lead or next manager on the project, or you coaching or teaching a younger generation of managers. In 3 steps, what questions would you ask yourself or process from the process side, how to not to rush and change everything? What should you do, like, and at least from the beginning?
Yeah, first one, how much will the change cost in hours or problems or social dynamics in a team? Maybe the reviews work really badly in a team and people fight. Maybe we have to teach people first how to do code reviews. Not sure. So first, how much the change costs. Second, what we are fixing, how much the problem costs. And then are we fixing the problem with the right change? Because there might be different options.
And Sadhana, what do you think?
I would add one more thing to this equation, is that probably I would add this as a discussion during the definition of ready with the product counterpart. Like, what is important? And I think that's something that engineering teams and engineering managers have to consciously remember to do. Is like, we, as engineers, our dream is to always write bug-free code, but at what cost? And is this something that the product is willing to take? Is time to market more important at sometimes it can be, right, than bug count, right? And this is something that we need to sort of make transparent and discuss as a team with product and with all the stakeholders.
And what do you think? Shall we, as a managers, somehow take responsibility ourselves, saying, okay, guys, we fucked up. Let me fix the problem, and I am the person in charge. I would make this and this and that changes. Or should you say, okay, guys, we as a team have some problem, how we will solve it? Because both solutions, if you have kind of like dictatorship management, it can be pretty effective if you need to fix something ASAP, like super ASAP, I don't know, in 5 minutes. But on the long-term perspective, it's not that good. But again, and vice versa, if you kind of giving all the decisions, all the, all the rules to the team, sometimes it can be a bit, what do you need for? Why do you need such manager? No? Hadi?
Yeah, actually, related to that, I had an interesting experiment that I did on Twitter at some point, some months ago. I said, if your manager leaves for a month and everything works smoothly, does that mean that your manager was doing a good job, or were they not needed? And then later on, I asked another question, which I said, if you're a manager and you leave your team and they continue to do well, does that mean you've done a great job or you're not needed? And it was really, really funny to see, based on the question, the responses. They were basically contradicting, right? The team was saying the manager was never needed. The manager was saying, I'm doing a great job, right? So what is it? Are you doing a great job? Or, I mean, I personally think that if there is a balance between the team working self-sufficiently and you being needed for quite a good number of things on that team, but not to the extent that if you're away for a couple of weeks, it falls apart.
May I jump in here? Seriously, that's my passion. I think there is no contradiction here at all. If you aim to become not needed, you have to teach people how to work without you. That's it. Like, you should aim to become not needed, but then you must, in order to do that, you must teach everyone to work without you. You must set what's the word? The process that evolve themselves with the team. So you must teach them how to work with processes too. And then in order to do that, you have to excel in being a manager. So to teach others, you have to be really good at doing your job anyway. So
but that's not being a manager, is it? That is more kind of like being a teacher, if you will. Like, it also depends on what is the concept of manager. Like, what is a manager for you?
For me, the manager is the person who teaches the team how to work with social technical systems, where we have computers, software, and people, with all those graphs of communication and issues and psychology and sociology and all this stuff.
Right. So you're basically, essentially, from my understanding, is you go from team to team, you make those teams self-sufficient, and these teams run without a manager.
That happens, but it takes real amount of time, like 5 years, 4 years.
Okay, and let me now follow up with another question. Sorry, I'm capturing all the time here, but what happens if someone is unhappy? What happens if someone needs someone to talk to? Isn't that your role as a manager? Because I feel like that is one of my main roles as a manager.
I would fully agree with that. But then once again, this is a role, and a person in a team can play this role as well. Don't you think so?
No, I don't. I mean, they could play it in a certain way, but they need someone to be able to reach out to and talk to. That I feel is my role.
Okay, fine. That's your model.
Sorry for jumping in, but
yes,
yeah, it's kind of like probably we should organize some kind of like step 0 should be definition of a manager, because otherwise it would be. Denis, probably you have some things to add, right?
Yeah, I have a cool story to tell you about the question that you asked, Evgeny, and regarding the conversation that just happened. This self-organized team and managed teams, basically it's 2 different types of teams, and the manager Wrike is responsible for both types. So some of them has managers, some of them don't. And basically, I agree with Vitaly that it's our goal. If it is our responsibility, in my case, it is my responsibility to build such self-organized teams. And in cases when there is a manager there, the team reports to him, and I'm like not in charge there. So, and basically it depends what company need right now. I truly believe that for self-organized teams, make the team self-organized is one of key aspects of a manager. And some people may not be happy. And for those people, we definitely need a manager who will work closely with them, because people are different, and for different people, we need different approaches, right? So that is the idea. And getting back to the initial questions that Evgeny asked, is it make sense to do things by myself or like organize a team to do that? I have a cool story here. And a long time ago, when I was a developer at Wrike, I had a very interesting task where I spent 2 months of my development, and it was about migration avatars. And basically, I have a nickname Avatar Man at Wrike, and it was such a rare problem, so I fixed that. And for a year or 2 years, it disappeared. But then the time comes to fix it again, because it's a rare case, by need to invest time of others to fix that. And they asked, okay, Denis, you know everything, nobody knows it, go and fix it. And I did it, unfortunately, because the next time when something went wrong, this feature was not working for 2 weeks because I was too busy doing other important stuff without being able to fix everything on time. So here, in my experience, I believe that organize people to fix the problem, even if I'm the only person who knows how it works, it's the proper way. It may be hard, may be complicated, but it's the proper way to fix that.
Okay, let me just have my hat of a moderator here, because time is passing by and we need some concrete answers. Let's, 3 minutes, let's talk a little bit about other, like a part of the equation. Yeah, we are a manager, we have a team somewhere. But what about, and YouTube user asking, really nice username, by the way, YouTube user. How do you cope with responsibility and reporting to management when such case happens? Like how to deal with not your team, not yourself, but business owners or your boss, your manager, and whatever.
Can I go?
Yeah.
I think this is true of any organization and any team, that we create a culture of a blame-free culture, basically, where we are attacking the issue and not like doing a witch hunt of who did it. But having said that, I think as a manager, part of the role is always to say that the buck stops at me, right? And you always go with that, right? So basically you stand up for your team, and you but then you also be super transparent to the management that this happened. And if it is critical enough and it's likely to happen again, then you talk about what you have done to stop it. And if not, you also be transparent and tell them, hey, it happened, but doesn't mean that we're going to spend all this time to fix it, because it's just not worth it. And or fine, we can fix it, but it'll increase your time to market by like 20%. Are you okay with that? But either way, I think the bottom line here is that the buck stops at me, and be completely transparent about the repercussions and the follow-up actions to the higher up.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone wants to add something, or we will wrapping this up? Okay, so in the conclusion, because I have a couple of other cases, and sorry for rush. So first of all, when you have as a manager, when you have the I don't know, something butterflies in your body, or like something is itching inside your body that you need to change something quickly, what to do? Vitaly said that first of all you have to think about cost of your changes, cost of the living things as they are. Like if you have a bug, let it be. And the last one, what was the third one?
Different options. Maybe there are different other solutions to this problem. You have to to find out what other solutions there are.
To
maybe brainstorming.
Anything else to add? Okay, looks like Vitaly, you are right in the bullseye. And we have our next case. So wrapping up this, if you have this anti-pattern or this habit to change everything that you see is not right, think about it. And probably sometimes it's not the best way to rush and change everything inside your organization. Well, maybe if it's garbage on the floor, yeah, just clean it, but not in this case. Let's move on to the second anti-pattern of the day. Probably we should have some kind of like gong or whatever. And it's called, the story called is Frantic Ruler. And probably Vitaly and Hadi would love it because it's about DevRels. Hi everyone. I joined a DevRel team at a large company not too long ago. And to be honest, I don't understand how the team worked before me. They didn't have any single metric inside them. I mean, inside the team. They were just organizing some meetups, writing some articles, and posted things on local, on social media. Yes, I realize that this is a difficult area, blah, blah, blah. But I suggested setting some of the goals for the year. First of all, increase recruitment funnel by 50%. Nice goal. Increase social media accounts audience by 300%. Well, nice goal. To track the success of each team member, individual metrics on the number of articles and posts written. Well, I see the face palms. However, not all team members agree with me, and some openly declare that I am turning the branding team into a sweatshop of content production. What do you think about it? So, in short, metrics all over the world, and why not to put this really nice metrics in the team? Vitaly, you want to?
Yeah.
I see.
One simple sentence: Goodhart's law. So whenever you have any metric, it is synthetic. Whenever you aim for reaching a synthetic metric, you're focusing all your efforts on achieving this metric rather than achieving the results that you actually need. So everything is so broken here. If you have individual metrics, you have competition in the team, and competition has nothing to do with the teamwork and team collaboration. With that, I would love Hadi to proceed, or Sadhana, who wants?
Yeah, I saw that you can leave the case on the screen for a bit longer. Let's Hadi, you can answer.
I think Sadhana raised her hand beforehand. Yeah.
Sorry, but I'm playing a bit of a devil's advocate here. But I actually don't see anything wrong with setting goals and having metrics. Maybe playing people off one against the other is a bit extreme. So the last bit, yes. But I do believe that it's a bit weird not to have anything at all to track your success or track your path and to even know that you're going in the right direction. So curious to hear what Hadi has to say.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And ironically, I've spent 7 years of my profession in developer relations to try and find metrics that work. But here's the issue with metrics, that independently of the fact that, if you put in a metric, someone will try and play the system to reach that metric. I find that many of these metrics are pulled out of thin air. So I would ask this frantic ruler, like, why do you want to increase your audience by 300%? Why 300% and why not 200? Why not 100? Why not 1,000%? Right? I've seen so many times when people say, well, and I've asked them, why did you set this goal? Well, because this other team in the company set this number, so we just set this number. And I'm like, but you knew you could probably reach this number fairly easily. Yes, we actually doubled it, and now we look good, right? We go back to playing the system. The second issue is, what does this give you? Increasing your social media accounts, what is it that you're trying to measure? For what purpose? If it is to report to management, good luck. Put the metrics in place that you can play and do that. You'll reach your goal. But if it is truly to see if you're doing a good job at developer relations, developer advocacy, whatever you want to call it, don't be fooled by these things, because social media reach means nothing. Right? It means that you have 600 followers and what? And I'll always put the anecdotal example. I have given talks in front of 8,000 people live and over 100,000 people watching on YouTube. And I don't know if anything that I did had any single impact. I have also given a talk in front of 10 people that has given way to 120 licenses purchased of one of our products as a result of my talk. If I were to say to my team, let's focus on reach, we would lose that. Sure, the funnel is bigger, you'll get it, but we would lose that. So what is the point of metrics? Why do I want to actually measure metrics? As a self way to try and improve oneself. Nothing else. Not to report to management, not to report to anything else. But even when you're trying to improve yourself, you got to be very careful with the metric, because what is it that you're measuring? Are you measuring the right thing? So this is why it's problematic to just come in and say, yes, I could go to my team. Every time someone joins my team, they're like, do you expect a number of blog posts from me each month? I'm like, no, because I know that sometimes one blog post might take you 3 weeks because you have to spend a lot of time on it. And another week you could churn out 20 blog posts. It's ridiculous.
May I quickly add here? What I think we don't argue here. We're not arguing here. So what I said was that metrics, all metrics are synthetic. They don't reveal the overall picture. We're trying to pinpoint like a single measurable thing. And then even irrationally, we will focus more on achieving that. Even irrationally, that's the problem. That's the main problem. That's what Goodhart's law is about, that we can't avoid framing our understanding of what we're doing, our perceiving of what we're doing, if we have metrics. That's why they hurt. I'll actually give a separate talk at a conference about how metrics hurt.
Yeah, sorry, I would add to Sadhana here and being a little bit of devil's advocate, but at the end of the day, kind of, even though we are in the fluffy, ponytailed IT tech business, it's business. Yeah, and like business wants to get the money or something else, but most of the time it's money. And without metrics, like all history of business development for IT or whatever, it's full of metrics and like OKRs, KPIs, everything there for a reason. Hadi,
I could tell you that maybe we're just very fortunate that on the developer advocacy team at JetBrains that we don't have to have any metrics, but JetBrains doesn't have metrics. Sales team don't have metrics. We don't have metrics. We focus on doing a good job and doing it well. That's it. And our metrics is our users, are they enjoying the products? Are we losing users or are we gaining users? That, at the end of the day, is the biggest metric. In terms of developer advocacy, fortunately, we sit at a level that does not respond to marketing or sales or product teams. We are considered an educational branch of JetBrains, and that's what we do. We teach people to be better developers, and by means of our tools, we think that they can be.
But I think Vitaly, Sadhana were the first.
Oh, sorry.
No.
No, but in response to what Hadi says, to be clear, we are not confusing metrics with goal setting, right? Or with like a collective understanding of the North Star or the purpose of the team. Because if you tell me that we together we educate and we are all on the same page as a team as to the reason why we exist, but we don't really have false numbers to track it, then I can go with that.
Yeah, goals we set. I'm saying not metrics. We don't focus on metrics. Yeah.
I may also add another thing here. With more metrics you have trying to balance one or another to kind of feel the better, more information and more input you get. And there's also this concept of analysis paralysis, where you can't actually deduce anything from that huge amount of information. And then you're lost in all those metrics. I've seen it many times in software development when they have a number of bugs or time to market and this and that and like huge number of metrics, and they can't even figure out what to do with them because intellectual labor can't be properly measured. That's the problem. That's why I love what Hadi said about education. That's the same concept I have.
Denis, what do you think about it? How in Wrike you solve this goal versus metrics versus, I don't know, releases?
Well, I would agree with statements that were announced before. So, and the idea here comes, so you can measure something in the example you showed us. You can measure things in numbers, but not every number is valuable or reasonable, because if it comes to people relations, people behavior, or so everything about that, you can't even measure it. As a manager, I mostly work with the people-related stuff at Wrike, so top performance, low performance, people management, stuff like that. And if you would like to measure the performance of your engineer, you can do that. And if you, for instance, have a low performer and you would like to help him to become a stable performer, you should set metrics that should be transparent 100%, and it should be ideally measurable, but it's not possible because you can't measure it. The only thing you can get is right expectations and help him understand whether he or she doing it right or not. And yeah, that's not possible.
And by the way,
we reached a consensus here that we should find the focus where we focus our efforts rather than what the goal is, rather than measuring something.
We have a nice comment on YouTube. Alexei is saying, if you have no individual metrics, how could you understand whether a team requires replacement or more talents in case of general performance doesn't satisfy business needs? Does anyone wants to add? Oh, of course, Vitaly. Yeah.
Sure. The goal for us to actually assemble the team was to produce value with this team, value for the client with this team. How on earth would you actually base your conclusions or your actions on individual performance? If you have some issues with some individual, make sure or just figure out what's going wrong with the processes in your team, what stops the person from actually performing well. If it's a level of education or knowledge or some skill set, you might help the person to be a better developer, let's say, if it's just errors that he or she has. If it's something else, if the person is being blocked by someone else or something else, it's the process problem, not the individual problem. So if you have issues with the team performance, first figure out what you're doing. Maybe you're doing wrong features. Maybe you can half the features you're doing and throw away another half. Then maybe your processes are blocking the team a lot. Maybe you have some hurting stuff like code reviews, let's say, because they do hurt. Maybe you have some other stuff. Maybe you don't have auto tests. Maybe you have manual QA at the end of the process rather than at the start of the process. Maybe you're not being a good manager first.
Maybe, but what do you think, like from management standpoint, how can you kind of there are some smells, right, in the team? Probably sometimes we unconsciously thinking about them. For example, Hadi, how you, because you are manager of the DevRel team, and in this area, this is extremely, I believe, is extremely hard to understand. Okay, I have some people in the team, and they are not performing well, or they performing well. How can I understand that this person needs some assistance? Or you always think that people in the team are mature enough to like to talk with you and saying like, sorry, Hadi, right now I'm having a bad time, could you please help me? Or how it works, at least in this area?
Well, I mean, first of all, we have monthly one-on-ones with each team, with each member of the team, and we discuss how things are going, what they're stuck with, if there's any issues that they have. In addition to that, I always encourage people to, if they want a second opinion about whether they should be doing something or not, they can share it with the team or share it with me. But we're very, very open in that sense, right? The other thing that we do is we don't do daily stand-ups. We have basically a Confluence page where each person writes down what they've done that week. And I always encourage everyone on the team to be reading what everyone has done that week, for the mere reason that sometimes we find that things we do are interconnected and we can collaborate with each other, or because a lot of us are covering different products, right? So there isn't always that tight collaboration. And also that sometimes raises questions like, why are you doing this? Or what benefit do you see in doing these things? In terms of performance, I always say to folks that join, I say, if it comes the day that I have to count the number of blog posts or tweets or anything like that you've done, we're already too far. It's already failed, right? You can tell when people are working and you can tell when people are not working. It's not that difficult. And it goes the same way. Like people always ask me this question: if you're not measuring blog posts, how can you tell if someone on the DevRel is working? How can you tell if someone on the team is working? Do you count the number of bugs they fix? Really? And especially knowing that some bugs can take 2 weeks to fix, another one can take a day. Overall, you get a good sense for it. Sure, you're not going to judge in 1 month, but overall, you get a good sense for whether that person is doing performing or not.
Mm-hmm. Denis, sorry, Vitaly. Denis wanted to add on this.
I was thinking for so long that I forgot what I wanted to ask. So I skipped this third.
It's okay. Yeah.
I would love to add and to second what Hadi said, that we should not aim to replace human interaction with numbers, because humans are much more complicated things or creatures compared to numbers. So number of blog posts is nothing. As Hadi said, properly said, I mean, this makes sense, that one blog post can take a month and it will be of key value for the clients, let's say. And another person can have 10 blog posts. So measuring human intellectual labor is impossible. That's my thesis.
Pretty kind of extreme. But one question for you. We're all humans, right? Most of us, at least. And sometimes we're falling under the biases. Sometimes we're thinking that this person is really outstanding. I don't know, so charismatic, so lovely. I don't know, this is the best person in the world. And Alexei added to that. Without metrics, we don't know who performs better. We can't make an objective assessment. And I would like to focus on objective assessment, because most of the thing you're talking about is kind of like more of a, okay, I think that probably this person is not performing or not. So let me be a little bit on the devil's side here. For example, Sadhana, in your team, do you have this some objective metrics on someone, or you judge by your feelings, or how it works for you?
I wouldn't go as far to say that we have objective metrics on people, because I think it's really hard to do that. Like Hadi said, like how many bugs do they fix? How many features do they write? I think we get a sense of, look, a team is like a collection of different talents and different individuals. That's what makes the team, right? So I would measure the team performance, and I would qualitatively assess the individual capabilities. And regarding the remark from Alexei, I think we all as human beings come with a certain sense of bias. So I don't know what it actually means when we say objective assessment. Sure, we can say we can try not to be biased in favor or against a particular person, but I think we will make impressions based on what the team needs and what the individual is bringing to the team. So I don't know how to be objective about that.
Hadi?
Yeah, I was just going to add two things to what Sadhana said. One is that you don't even if you want to be objective, there's always a bias there, always, right? And you'll find those angles to be objective so that it suits your biases. Secondly, the point about, you said people are different on the team, and it's I found a number of times where one person was in a role and really underperforming, and we've put that person in a different role, and they've been extremely happy and performing so well. And if we don't care for that, and we don't care for the individual, and we just focus on objective parameters to judge that person, we would have lost good people, right? Just because they didn't find a good fit for them in the company or the team.
But I'm again being on the devil's side. Have you ever been in a situation when you're like, we're trying to judge everyone from the good side, right? We assume that someone who joined the company is a good professional, fits the role. Have you ever been in a situation when it was a total 100% mishire, or this person doesn't fit the team for some, I don't know, performance metrics or some skills or something like that? What did you do in this situation? How you understood that? I don't know. Sadhana, let's start from you.
Oh, I think I second, first of all, I second Hadi's remark. I think a change of environment can be a difference of night and day. You just have to care enough to look deeper and to try those things out. And I think, like you said, a misfit or a mishire is more on a structural or basically a personality level more than skills. That's what I have seen so far. And the personality level mishire always has some very strong smells, especially if you have cultivated a culture of psychological safety. Then there are people who are going to raise their voices, and if you hear more raised voices, then you know that there, and you hear it consistently enough, then you listen to it.
Okay. Vitaly and then Denis.
Let Denis talk.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, so I would basically agree with what Sadhana said. So I've been in a situation when I hired a person who wasn't a good fit for a team because of his skill set wasn't I'm not saying good enough is the wrong words, but not the fit for the team, because team requires some special skill set. And how we can check that? Basically, as Sadhana said, open culture that you may ask anybody, please share your thoughts about the team, what is going on, what is going good, what is going bad, and you will see that triggers. And if we get back to the metrics question, you may set a metric, let's say estimates hit. You can check that something goes wrong, but it will tell you nothing, but you have to have a deeper look. So it may mean that the person is underperformer and you need to work with him, or it means that scope of the team is changed And now tasks are much more complicated and people don't know how to solve them, because it's just a yellow flag. You need to dive in and understand what is going on. But the metrics will not tell you the exact diagnosis, if it's the right word in English. So
may I add here?
Yeah.
I would like to summarize this, that we are not cogs, we're not machines, we are people, we are complicated creatures. Let's not hide, as managers, let's not hide from this complexity. People might have personal issues at home, or they might be sick, or they might be not loving what they're doing, or they might have not enough knowledge to jump into a new role, as Sadhana said rightfully, or Denis, I can't remember now. So our performance depends on the system we're in, more than on our own personality. That's my thesis. I think that if a system allows and encourages us, the processes we're in, this psychological safety, the blameless culture, or whatever, or mentorship culture, if we have mentorship culture in our team, we will perform. So let's not hide from the complexity by looking at numbers. We are not cogs.
Mm-hmm. Well said. And a couple of questions from chat. Again, Alexei, to simplify the question, another layer of abstraction. Let's say that we have many teams. So how can we know if the team performs bad? Who wants to answer? Vitaly?
I can. If a team produces a value for the client, if the client is happy, the team performs well. That's it.
Okay. Sadhana?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, I think we are opposing metrics in numbers, but we are not opposed to goals and North Stars themselves. So if the team is aligned to its goal and it's actually hitting its North Star, is really delivering its purpose, then we know that they're performing. And if they're not, then it's not about blaming, but it's about trying to really understand objectively what the reason is. So it's still got nothing to do with individual metrics, I would say.
Okay, and other question from Milis. It's not a question, but more of a sentence. Leader's first job is to know yourself and know your team. Then decide if and what metrics are needed. This should be based on what challenges appear from the team and the work results. And probably we should wrap up the topic. And let's have some common ground here. What do you think? First of all, metrics as a manager, as a new manager to team. Of course, if you are, continuous manager, probably there are some metrics already or some goals. Should you introduce any metrics to the team, or how to deal with them? What's the common ground for us here?
May I?
Yeah, Vitaly.
I would ditch the metrics in the team. I would swallow the fact that working with people is complicated, and I would start talking to people and actually sitting with them, looking how they're working, what they're working on, if they're happy, if they're not happy, what the problems are, checking the feature from the idea of the client to production, to the client's value. Maybe there are bottlenecks there. And bottlenecks are not people. Bottlenecks are the process design issues. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I think sorry.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah, I think the common ground that we all would agree on is that let's distinguish goals from metrics. And I think goals are absolutely fine to introduce. I do also want to add one final thought from my side, which is we keep talking about making people self-sufficient and making people self-motivated and making sure that people kind of like are self-driven. Sometimes we go too far to the point that we elude our responsibility as managers. We just say, this person is just great, self-sufficient, self-driven, and it's not the case. Every single person needs feedback. Every single person needs to be guided, and we often forget that, right? And the other thing that we often forget is that we focus too much on the people that have problems and not enough on the people that are really doing well.
Well said.
May I quickly add to feedback? If client provides feedback, the developers might be happy too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Common ground. Anything to add to that? To metrics versus goals?
So, to summarize what I said, so talking about metrics, I would rename it to triggers or flags that may tell you something that you need to sort it out somehow. And yeah, I agree with Hadi that metrics as a scoring system of success of a team or person is not efficient at all. So for me, it mostly works like a trigger, which forces me to dive into the situation and help my team to sort it out.
Okay, well said. Sadhana, would you like to add something?
No, I think we summarized it pretty well. I think goals versus metrics really clarifies it for all of us, I think.
And last thought from the chat. Emily is saying that numbers and KPIs are needed to talk with the higher managers, business people with suits. They love numbers and metrics. How to kind of like talk with them, saying like, we don't like metrics. Can we, I don't know, don't introduce them?
I don't agree with this thesis. I have proper relations with my boss without metrics or KPIs. Hadi was saying the same. Sadhana was saying the same. So no, Milis, it's not required to have numbers and KPIs to talk with higher managers. There are higher management guys and girls who apply not agency theory. There is this theory of which describes the way how management works with people, agency theory. There are managers who are beyond this, who can trust you and set you with goals and see if you achieve the goals. Numbers and KPIs are not required for that.
Anything to add? Okay, cool. Well, and it was, unfortunately, we don't have much time for a third topic because, it's already been an hour. Maybe last sentences. So today we were talking about 2 anti-patterns, and let's stick to the show. I mean, I forgot what I wanted to say. I wanted to say that please follow us in the social media to tune for new anti-patterns, not other topics, and to summarize not only maybe metrics, but these anti-patterns. Last thoughts about that. I think that sometimes for us as a managers and for new managers and even for continuing managers, it is really hard to go beyond our own patterns because it's easy to give some advice when you sit in YouTube saying something, but when you are in the field, it's really hard. How to step out of your not comfort zone, but pattern zone and think out of the box. Okay, probably I shouldn't introduce some metrics, or probably it's not the best thing to change everything right now. What is your kind of recipe for that? How to think outside of the box as a manager?
May I?
Yeah, Vitaly, please continue.
Start reading books on management. Akov, Deming, and Drucker, and Taylor, plenty of them. Start understanding how deep the rabbit hole is. That there is psychology, the organizational psychology, there is sociology, there is cybernetics, there is many topics that a manager should know. And then you'll figure out how to overcome the patterns.
Can you recommend one book right now?
Deming, just read Deming. He's good.
Okay. Please read. And what about you, Denis, Hadi, Sadhana? What is your recipe to think outside of the box?
Vitaly suggested to look outward. I would suggest that it's equally important to look inward. Start journaling, start self-reflecting, learn from your mistakes, be honest. I think that's just as important, right? So,
yeah. I believe the same thing for me. So I started to reflect on the decisions that I make and ask why I'm doing that, what I'm trying to achieve. Is it even valuable? Is it a real problem that I solve today? And it helps them to be focused on the most important things.
Hadi, would you like to add something?
No, just the same. I'd like to take the time to constantly question yourself if what you're doing is the right thing, and have the time to stop and think and improve. And often I fall into the trap of not having that time. I'm too busy doing that. I don't have the time to actually stop and analyze.
Totally agree. And I think that's it. It was a short but really meaningful discussion. And hopefully we will continue. And please subscribe. And as you can see, YouTube user saying that thank you a lot of guys. Thanks a lot, guys. Sorry, evening English. And thank you very much for being here. It was Hadi Hariri, VP of Development of Advocacy at JetBrains, Denis, Repp, Engineering Manager at Wrike, Vitaly Sharovatov, DevRel and consultant at Qase. Okay, Qase. It is an internal meme. And Sadhana Gopal, a software development manager at Shopify. It was a big pleasure to have you here, guys. Thank you very much. Hopefully to see you in future. And for you, dear YouTube users, and if you watch it afterwards, please subscribe. And also we have this links. It's a meetup group. Also, we have a Slack, same etc Slack. And if you have cases that you want to share, please send it by etc cases. All the links in the description. Press like, subscribe, and what YouTubers said, other things. Have a nice evening and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.